Today we are driving the 2024 Ford Expedition Limited, but as always, let me give you a brief tour of the car before we get it out on the road. The Expedition has been redesigned for 2025, so this model you are seeing today is not brand new, but the key fob is no different. It still has remote start built into the fob itself. As far as styling is concerned, the Expedition has a pretty simple grille with two large chrome bars going across the whole front end, some functional ventilation at the bottom, and you also get fully LED headlights on most of the models. Moving around to the side, the Limited model has 3 wheel options, but for no extra cost you get these 20-inch machined aluminum wheels. They don't look terrible, but I would say that they don't look as good as the 22s available on the Limited High or the Limited Stealth. You get fixed running boards at the bottom, and these mirrors have heating, blind spot monitoring, and power folding. The Expedition has the traditional full-size SUV silhouettes, and you get multiple chrome accents with the Limited model. The wheel setup in the back is the exact same as the front, and you have some chrome trim that runs underneath the windows and continues on into the back. Speaking of the rear end of the Expedition is pretty simple. You have some chrome elements like for the bar that runs all the way across in between the taillights as well as the branding, and you also have this brushed aluminum piece at the bottom. If you want to easily access something inside the trunk but you don't want to lift up the whole tailgate, you can easily pop the rear window and grab whatever you need. That is a very simple but clever touch. But we are going to open up the whole tailgate so that we can see how much space is in the Expedition's trunk. Behind the third row you get 19.3 cubic feet of space. There is also additional storage underneath the floor as well as a cubby to the left side. On the left side you also get buttons so that you can raise and lower your third row and lower the second row. Just keep in mind that you will have to go around and manually raise the second row because you cannot do that from the trunk. With the third row down, you get 57.5 cubic feet of space, and as a maximum, you get 104.6 cubic feet. Let's go ahead and check out the super spacious and versatile interior next. Starting with the third row, as you can see, you have a very nice door panel with tons of storage. And to get into the third row, first we're going to fold up the seats and pull on this lever, and that is going to tilt the seat forward in such a way that you do not have to remove a car seat if it is installed. In the third row, I have tons of space, even though the second row seat is slid almost all the way back. There is still sufficient legroom and headroom. You can also power recline the third row seat, which is very nice. You get a lot of cubbies, a USB port on both sides, cup holders on both sides, and you also have a DC outlet way in the back. Ford always crushes it with the third row in the Expedition, but let's go ahead and check out the second row next. Also keep in mind that you do not have to tilt the seat forward to get in and out of the third row. You can go in between the second row seats if you have the 7-seat Expedition. In the second row, there is still a ton of legroom and headroom. Not quite as much as the Wagoneer and Tahoe, but still plenty for anybody. In the middle, you get 2 cup holders, 2 USB ports, heated seats, a third zone of climate control, some storage, and a DC outlet. Here is a view of the front cockpit from the back. And one convenient feature about the door is that you actually have a door cup holder, so that anybody that is loading in their child can actually put their drink down in the door cup holder and then continue on their way once they have their child buckled in. Getting in and out of the Expedition is pretty easy even for smaller kids. You got running boards and multiple handles. The door panel is made of mostly plastic, but there is tons of storage, so anything that you need to be stored in the door pocket should definitely fit. You get 3-person memory seats, and speaking of the seats, they'll be finished in real leather, and this color is called mahogany. It is an extra $500 option. They have 10 ways of power adjustment, heating, and ventilation. Let's go ahead and start it up. The steering wheel is very nicely leather wrapped and heated. This is actually a traditional steering wheel because the new Expedition has a very controversially designed steering wheel. You can customize the partly digital gauge cluster with the buttons to the left, but on some models of the last generation Expedition you can get a fully digital display. Either way, this setup right here that you are seeing is pretty simple and very easy to understand. Down in this corner you get controls to lower the third row headrest as well as your power pedal controls. And for storage, you will be very impressed with the Expedition. Under the open portal with trim you get this little cubby, and on the center console you get a wireless phone charging pad, 2 USB ports, 2 cup holders, and on each side of the center console you will find this little cubby so you can put something like a bag. And inside the center console you will have pretty much an infinite amount of space. It is just crazy how much stuff you can fit in there. The climate controls on this limited model are going to be completely physical. On some models of the last generation Expedition, they will be digitally integrated, but this model has a very simple and easy to use layouts. You get knobs to adjust the temperature as well as a toggle to adjust the fan speed. The main infotainment system measures in at 12 inches and has the Sync 4 software. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well as built-in navigation. On some models, you could also get a 15.5-inch display that is mounted like an iPad. When you go into reverse on this limited model, you get a very low-resolution backup camera. This is where you shift your gears manually and change the drive modes, and I think it is cool that you have all your gears displayed right there on the tachometer. Also, the shifter is a very easy to use rotary dial. Nobody should have any problem using it. But let's go ahead and check out how the Expedition drives on the road. Alright, we are driving the 2024 Ford Expedition Limited. Let's kick off this test drive by talking about the powertrain. Under the hood is a 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. Throughout the Expedition lineup, this car can have 3 different outputs. This limited model has the middle outputs. That is 400 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. That is mated to the same 10-speed automatic transmission as the other models, and you get 2-wheel drive standard and 4-wheel drive optional. This car is 2-wheel drive. That gets 17 miles per gallon in the city, 23 on the highway, and 19 combined. Full-sized SUVs don't usually ride amazing, but this car doesn't have the best ride quality. This is definitely the most truck-based and truck-like out of all the other vehicles like the Tahoe, Wagoneer, and Sequoia. This is based very heavily on the F-150, and it definitely shows with the ride quality. It is kind of choppy, and it is hard to get comfortable in the back seats. It doesn't have anything fancy like the Yukon and Tahoe, like a magnetic air ride suspension or an air suspension at all. So I would say do not count on having the best ride quality in this Expedition. Let's go ahead and see an acceleration test. That is pretty impressive how fast the Expedition can get up to speed, and this isn't even the highest output model. Let's go ahead and talk about the wind noise next. The wind noise is relatively isolated, however, this is kind of shaped like a brick, so there isn't much Ford can do about that. I would say that I am pretty impressed considering the shape of this vehicle, how little wind noise is entering the cabin, but there's still a noticeable amount, so just keep that in mind. For interior ergonomics, everything falls to hand very well and everything works exactly how you think it would. Gear shifter is very simple, the infotainment system requires basically no learning curve, and there's a ton of storage, so that's always awesome. If you're planning on taking this on a road trip, just keep a few things in mind. You can get Blue Cruise, which is a subscription service, so that is Ford's hands-free driving service. Chevrolet and GMC offer the same thing, but it is known as Super Cruise, and in my opinion it is a little bit better. And you also are not going to have the best ride quality because this is, of course, the most truck-like out of all the full-sized SUVs. But we are nearing the end of our test drive in the 2024 Ford Expedition Limited. Overall, the Expedition is an amazing vehicle and it is a pleasure to drive. The ride quality may not be the best, but it is tolerable. The interior is great apart from the materials not being up to the $70,000 price points. You have a ton of space in all 3 rows, a lot of storage, and the trunk is huge. Would you buy this Expedition over the GMC Yukon, Chevrolet Tahoe, Jeep Wagoneer, and Toyota Sequoia? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.